Hi, I'm Maggie Pashley and I'm an EFT practitioner, and EFT is just one of a number of things that I offer clients. I live in the west of Ireland in County Sligo, but most of my clients are online clients, and EFT is a very, very helpful technique and can be done very, very easily working at a distance. So I first came across EFT in 2001, and as a trained shiatsu practitioner, trained to work with the complexities of Chinese medicine, I immediately, my first reaction was to dismiss EFT because it looked very weird and it seemed like it might be very superficial or very, just like one of these most recent fads, and I kind of, my first reaction was to reject it, but it kept coming back at me, it kept grabbing my attention. So during the course of the year I got more and more intrigued by it and eventually ended up training as an EFT practitioner. Still not really completely sure as to what I would make of it. But the thing that really was a convincer for me was working with a man who had difficulty walking. He had a very strange gait that nobody seemed to be able to figure out what it was. It wasn't something he was born with, but he had developed this very laborious way of working, which made it of walking, which made it very, very tiring to walk any distance. He couldn't play with his child, and I tried EFT on him as a bit of a last-ditch attempt to be able to help him. And I was amazed because he went from having real pain and discomfort just standing there to within a minute or 2 minutes being absolutely pain-free, and then he was able to walk around the room and feel much more comfortable. He came back the following week and he'd been running around with his daughter, and seeing the sheer excitement and relief in his face was such a convincer for me. And since then I've used it for all sorts of things. I've used it with long-standing back pain with clients. I've used it with people anxious about their driving tests. I've even worked with driving instructors anxious about their driving tests as well. I've used it to help recovery from operations, to overcome phobias or traumas. I've used it to to help my own resistance to things. In fact, I used it today to overcome my resistance to doing this video. So one of the things, and I'll tell you later what came up and how that was helpful, and how it took me from not wanting to do this to really being very excited or looking forward to doing it. And so EFT stands for Emotional Freedom Technique, and it is something that involves tapping on acupressure points, which is a connection that I was talking about earlier on to shiatsu or to acupuncture, because it uses the same meridians or the same meridian energy that acupuncture and shiatsu use. And doing the actual tapping is the balancing part of the session. The defining and speaking out whatever the problem is just to keep the focus. And it can be used for all sorts of things, as you might have gathered from what I just said of my experience of having used it for. So it is very good at helping both clarifying what's really going on, uncovering underlying issues. It's good for self-treatment as well as working with other people, and it can be used to uncover blocks to maybe a particular subject at school for your children, or any of the issues they might have around as they're growing up, around you know, falling out with friends, or bullying. It can help with so many things. So, and having done a session, you become more aware of how to use it, and it becomes a tool that you can use yourself. You can use it on your own, you can use it with your family, and it's just really helpful. It's something that's always there because we've just got we've got that tapping literally at our fingertips. And why I think it's very effective is it works on the underlying energies around a particular problem. I think there was a time when people thought that if they understood something, if they understood it, if they knew why they felt a particular way, then things would change. But I've come across loads of people who've done lots of delving into why they feel a particular way, maybe even have an understanding of why they might feel a particular way, and they've tried many things to feel different about it, but understanding doesn't necessarily change a thing. So we need to go to a different level, to an energetic level, to shift whatever it is that is not logical, that is at an unconscious level, holding that particular pattern in place. And EFT does this, I think, very effectively. Of course, like anything else, it doesn't work for all the people all the time, for everything, but nothing does. And I definitely think that it works on so many things that it is definitely worth having a go. So let me give an example from what I mentioned a bit earlier in this video about working on myself with my resistance to be online, to do this video, knowing that I would put this video on YouTube and it might be seen by you know, a fair amount of people, hopefully. And let me take you through the process. So with EFT, what we do is we name the issue, and we name it in a statement. In my case, it was not wanting to be seen or heard. And it was a conflict because at one level I did want to be seen or heard. At some level I really do enjoy what I do, and I'd like people to know how they could benefit. So what I did is I took my resistance, and my resistance it came out as a 5. So it wasn't a 10, it wasn't the top end, but it was enough to make me not want to really do this. So I made a statement and I tapped on the side of my hand here to do what we call the setup phrase, which is just naming the problem, and at the end of that we have an acceptance phrase that goes at the end. So I tapped on, even though I don't want to be seen and heard, I deeply and completely accept myself. Even though I don't want to be seen and heard, I deeply and completely accept myself. Even though I don't want to be seen and heard, I deeply and completely accept myself. So I said this while I was tapping on these remaining points, and did a shortened version of that original statement. So don't want to be seen and heard, 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 don't want to be seen and heard. under the arm, don't want to be seen and heard. And what came up for me is how, as a child, and sometimes, or a lot of the times, things go back to things that happened to us when we were very young. I realised that a lot of the time I was criticised for having a loud voice, or being too loud, or being too visible, or just, you know, being there when somebody might not have wanted me to be that noisy or that exuberant. And so that was interesting, and just going back to that and tapping on that enabled me to realise that actually it was their inability to cope rather than there was something wrong with me. And so I kept on doing that, and as I was doing it, different things came to me, different ways of looking at things that weren't forced, that were just me having different revelations, different layer upon layer of clearing, until in the end I began to really look forward to doing this, and to really look forward just to doing it as an invitation of something that might help you or might help somebody you know to either clear a particular block. It might be a phobia, it might be a fear, it might be some physical issue, or it could be something that was an incident that was very upsetting for them. And it's certainly been used on people with quite severe anxiety or trauma. It's been used on war veterans. It's also been used to help people perform better in different situations, whether it's performance at school, whether it's sports performance, whether it's singing. Because behind all of these things there is an imbalance in our energy field around that particular issue, and that is what EFT is addressing. So I do think it can often really get to the core of something and to clear it remarkably easy and simply. So it's something that can really help us in every aspect of our life, and it can be something that we can, as I said before, use to help our children, use to help our friends. So if you'd like to find out more, then go to my website, which is maggiepashley.com, and you will see EFT tapping there as one of the modalities that I offer. And if you feel like something that would really help you or somebody you know, then don't hesitate to either give me a ring, and my number is on my website, or to email me, and I'd be happy to discuss it further. Or you can also go to the page and book a session if you know that it's something that you'd really like to try. So I look forward to hearing from you if it's something that you think will be beneficial. Thank you.